Okay,
And we are live.
we are live. Okay, hello everyone. Let's see if we have people inside yet.
We do. I believe we do. Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
I hope everyone is keeping well.
Now let's wait. We have a few more minutes for people to come in. So how are you, Pierre?
I'm good, yeah.
How was
I'm
your
good.
day?
A bit handicapped, you know.
Yes. Soccer playing was challenging
Not well, yeah. The age is
at the
challenging,
age,
you
the
know.
age.
It's yeah.
But
So
we get smarter, no?
we do, but the body, doesn't follow.
Doesn't follow.
So I'm actually going for an MRI tomorrow just to see the damage, and after that, I'll be able to know how long and what to do and so on. But yeah, it's the end of my career.
Yes, yes. The soccer career
That's it.
must have a stop.
That's it. So I'll
Good.
be
Good thing
focusing.
you have one in Bridger.
Hmm?
Good thing you have a good one in Bridger.
Who?
You.
Oh yeah. Well, true, true. And you, how are you?
Good, good. Very busy day.
Yeah.
Working on some new stuff.
Exciting stuff.
It's always exciting in Bridge.
True.
It's a very
It's true. It has been what 3 months already, but I feel like that's been almost a year. Like things are moving so fast.
so fast, huh?
There's a lot of things. Like, do you remember the room a few weeks ago?
The room.
So that's good.
So we have the polls ready
Poll is ready. Yeah.
on an
It's
e-commerce
4 questions.
website out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
What is the most important aspect to develop for your brand to stand out?
For the people that are already here, if you want to access, the poll and answer the questions already, feel free to do it. Otherwise, I will remind you all through this webinar. So don't worry. Should we wait a little bit longer?
Yeah.
It's a very wide topic today. Huh? How to stand out in the competitive e-commerce market.
Yes, it is. It's a very wide topic, and there is many ways to tackle it. You know,
Absolutely.
from different heads of people. Business owners and payment managers, or from the side of technology, or from the side of money, of the marketing, or the operations. But in the end, you have to focus it and
True.
to see what really creates you the impact of standing out,
Absolutely.
and what is correlating to the impact, or what is coming together with that impact. But something must be focused still to get to the point that you start trying,
Yeah.
and failing or succeeding.
It's always the same thing. We'll go through that, in a minute.
We have the chat and questions, so and that's open. If anyone wants to ask us anything throughout the event, then we'll be happy to answer. And
Absolutely. Shall we start?
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll start. I think
Did you
it's okay. Maybe we should give another minute.
another minute? You take your water? There's do you have water or something? There's a lot to talk about. Don't get your voice extinct. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, let's start. I think.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here with us this evening. I'm Pierre, one of the business development manager here at Bridgerpay. I will be hosting, this webinar this evening, how to stand out in the competitive e-commerce market. And I have with me Ran Cohen, who is the co-founder and CEO of Bridgerpay. Hello, Ran. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Pierre. How are you?
I'm very good. Yeah, thanks. So this webinar is quite broad, right? Obviously, how to stand out in the competitive e-commerce market. It's a very broad topic, right? But we will try definitely to cover as much as possible and try to give you as many tips as we can. What we think is important for e-commerce companies to actually stand out and make a difference, on the market.
Yeah, I think you have some issues on your camera, though.
On your camera, yeah. Okay.
Probably we'll get it fixed, but we can get started in the meantime.
So
Um,
just to explain a little bit, why did we come up with this topic, right? For the past, as you all know, for the past, 2 or 3 years, now we've had a pandemic, right? Everyone has been impacted by the COVID, and COVID has changed the face of e-commerce, right? A lot of shops, physical shops, had to be closed all around the world. And in order to survive, they went online. A lot of people as well had to stay at home. They had plenty of time, in their hands, and they went online as well, surfing, on the web, looking for product, looking for inspiration, looking for ideas, trying to do their groceries online, buying things, everything. We went from an offline world, sort of, right, to an online world. And just to give you a couple of stats, right, on the impact of the coronavirus on the retail e-commerce website traffic worldwide as of June 2020. It went from 13.8 billion views to almost 22 billion average monthly visit. So plus 58% increase. This is huge, right?
you're moving the slide?
No, this is still, yeah, sorry. And so just also to show you how much, the impact, how much, the people started to go online, right? In the US, for example, just in the US, right, in 2020, over 2 billion people purchased, an item for the entire year, right? So it's very big. It's huge, right? And it will continue, growing, right? The e-retail sales surpassed 4.2 trillion US dollars worldwide and almost 5 trillions in 2021. So it's big.
Crazy numbers.
Crazy numbers.
Think about all if you think about COVID and the impact.
Yeah.
I think deliveries is one of the most areas where the growth of offline becoming online were at. Shops, restaurants, fast food, everybody is delivering and doing it from the online or through mobile. And they are all, grew in exponentially, both the delivery softwares and the amount of companies, of course, that are using it today and the providers that are supporting those services.
Absolutely.
Yeah, huge growth. We can see that the increase of the retail sales is something that is continuing to grow, and the research is saying that the numbers will reach a lot of trillions soon, but
7.4 by 2024, apparently.
Yeah. And they didn't took under consideration the COVID. It's still the implication of COVID in terms of e-commerce are still to come. But when you look at yourself as a business and with all that growth and with all those big numbers, and you want to be a part of them, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
You want to take just, a bit of parts of a percentage to start to start generating revenues and grow. And what you do is basically think about how do I do it? How do I stand out? How do I become better than my competition, or both in sales, both in optimization?
Yeah. So it's a big cake, as you said, 7.4 trillion, right?
Okay.
And let me ask you a question. How many websites worldwide do you have? This is, by the way, the first question of our poll. So for you guys that are part of the webinar, please feel free to answer the question on the poll. But Ran, what's
So can I check the poll as well for the answers? No. So yeah, I would definitely say it's 24 and above. The amount of new websites starting today, every day, is huge, both in different platforms alone, with built-in websites, open code. So yeah, growth is huge.
So big cake, but also a lot of players, 24 million, some bigger than others. Amazon, for example, represent 50% of the sales in the US, just alone, right? Which is massive, but the competition is fierce, right? There's a lot of things that you guys can do as a business owner, right, in order to stand out from the competition, right? So what are the elements that you would consider, guys, changing, right, or that would have an impact on your actual brand that would make you stand out, right? So you would have, for example, a unique product, right? You have a couple of companies like Louboutin, for example, who created the fashion retailer, right? And they are being famous, and they have personalized, their product, right? That red bottom, right, under the shoes. This is, their brand. It's a unique product that they've done that makes them stand out from the competition. You could have a unique design as well, like McDonald's. McDonald's, for example, started just at a restaurant and expanded and decided to go with a big M logo that you can see, everywhere. If you're starving, one day, you just look up. You probably have a McDonald's not far from you. You could have also, unique services, unique, technology. How Bridgerpay became, unique? What have we done, to stand out from our competitors?
Well, first of all, you said Christian Louboutin, which is it's a very unique product with a unique design, unique type of technology, and that they are using for shoes. I was just in Dubai not long ago. I saw the store with all the shoes, and there was one in the middle, just big box in the middle, and the shoe was on top of it. It was a completely transparent shoe. You could only see the red thing, and there was the small heel. Obviously, it cost thousands and tens of thousands of dollars, but there was no shoe. It was completely transparent. The only thing you saw is this red thing. So just to show you that it's not enough that they made this red thing that is really much unique for them. They also emphasize it and put it in front of the product itself. And that was great to see. I think what we try to do in Bridger is to focus, obviously, the fact that it's going to be our own technology, and is something that we obviously knew, and design-wise is obviously in my heart. This is something I was doing for many years in terms of building products, and obviously the product that we would build in Bridger should be, user-friendly and easy. And what we really try to achieve here in Bridger is to find a way to simplify legacy way of thinking.
Yeah.
Not only legacy technologies, but the legacy way of thinking of how a technology of payments should be, what it should provide you, how and where. Um, and it took us a long time to get to where we are today with many, many, many businesses in so many verticals that we spoke with that helped us really paint a picture of their needs, their challenges, enabling us to build a product that fits any business that is really unique both, and that's one of the part that he is unique on. It's not just a payment operation platform for travel or for e-commerce or SaaS. It really fits all and answer those challenges.
True, and we've had a lot of testimonials, from clients as well, telling us that we had a unique, platform, helping them solving, their issues, their payment issues. So this is our uniqueness, right? And
it's also how how you build a new feature and how you think about every challenge we try to solve. We try not to just solve the challenge. We try to build something which will solve it in a completely unique way, different way of thinking of the challenge. We break it down to parts.
Yeah.
And then reach the results we want to reach.
It's also very important, to have a good marketing strategy and good communication, around that, in order to showcase, your uniqueness, show your clients how do you stand out, what makes you different, right? And nowadays, a lot of e-commerce companies joined, agencies in their strategic communications, and they use, storytelling techniques, right? Like Michelin, for example, who created a character, the bibendum, right? And that bibendum became, very iconic. They were using that character in all their stories. I still remember, 20, 30 years ago.
And the product built inside, right?
Exactly. On the TV, all those Michelin ads where you could see actually a family going on holidays, right? And the cars, breaks down on the side of the road, and you have the bibendum Michelin, that character that comes and save them, replace, the tires, and continue. So these ads and these communications just continue and maintain, the legacy of a company. So as an e-commerce, it is the way, you communicate will help you stand out, from the crowd. There is also another aspect that can help you, stand out, right? It's through innovation.
Yeah.
Innovation is very important, something that you guys, should definitely look at, right? I've mentioned, you can see here on the slide, for example, Kodak, right? You probably wonder, why is Kodak here, right? Kodak is for any students in at school. We studied, the case Kodak, right? Who failed to innovate. It's a great example of innovation failing. They did not believe in the digital at the time, about 30 years ago. And they fell behind. They fell behind the competition. They did not go digital. They still believed in the old camera, the old film that we could do when we go on holidays.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they ultimately they went bankrupt, right? So innovation is really, really important. Tesla is also a great example on their own market. They created their own market, in fact, right? The electric cars. It's something that is quite new. I mean,
with SpaceX,
SpaceX.
Yeah.
They are at the top of every really market that they try to go on. And Lego as well, just recently, or I mean, a few years ago already, tried to step away from the regular plastic that pollutes, the planet, and really replaced this material in order to become more eco-friendly, communicate around that, right, and innovate through this. So
If you look at innovation and you try to break it down to something which is more realistic and can also become like a way of thinking. Okay, so you're saying, okay, everybody wants to be innovative and everybody wants to say they're innovative, right? But you wanna not only say that you are innovative, and you want the world to know, and like you are showing Tesla as an example. And how do you get there? And how do you get to the point that the products you build, the features in the product, the stuff that will make you stand out in the end, how do you know that you are making something which is innovative really? And it all starts from the problems you try to solve. And when us as human try to solve problems, we usually go to try to see what other people done. So if I was now a car maker that wants to, I don't know, invent a new, electrical cars, whatever, and I would go and look how all the other cars would look like, right?
Yeah.
And I would say, you know what? In order for the electric car to be super successful, it has to look like the regular Chevy, the regular Benz, the regular, car everybody's. So I'm not going to make them such a difference, right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
the embrace of this my electrical car will be easier because, people know it, right?
Yeah.
But is that what Elon Musk did with Tesla?
Yeah.
No, he built a completely different car, a touchscreen car and a super, super modern car. He broke down the problem not to first of all, he looked at the problem not from the angle of what my competitors are doing in the world of cars. He broke it down to the first principle.
Yeah.
He actually thought why people need electric cars. Why would they buy now an electric car? What would make them buy an electric car? And that's not just by saving them a few bucks on the dollar on the petrol, but that's to give them a real added value in that car.
Yeah.
To make it a completely different car.
Absolutely.
And that's working according to first principle. And you have different people around the world that are thinking in this way. This is a matter of a way of thinking that we very much like here in Bridger to think and to get to the problems, to the bottom of the problems, thinking about why we want to solve them and what we are trying to achieve. And when we find the solution, that is regardless to how anyone else solved that issue or problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's a way of innovation and a way
Absolutely.
of creating. That's how we created the retry and the way of seamlessly sending a transaction between two payment provider in the scene or three. So,
and now the no touch flow,
yeah,
which is our latest innovation at Bridgerpay, right?
Yeah, self-onboarding is today kept for third-party technologies that are pretty much easy to use and easy to onboard and easy to get started with. The world of payment was very much closed with big applications and a lot of processes behind. And we wanted to really solve that challenge for good, opening the door, to really any website to come to our website and complete the process of onboarding alone with all the component that he needs in order to integrate Bridger and connect his payment provider and start processing. So yeah, I think this is one of the key elements in opening the door to the world of to Bridgerpay and having merchants to try and see how they can start to use a payment operation system.
Yeah.
That will optimize their payments and make their life much easier. I think we have here questions.
We have questions.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have a few from Pierre.
From Soel Khan. So from a crowd,
let's read it.
I think in these competitive markets, to stand out from a crowd is to provide cashback after checkout, like 1% or 3% of the purchase. That would be very innovative, yeah, standing out. Like all customers like top on things, Apple Cards is doing this. Are they now?
They have some features. I think cashback and wallet feed is better option. Yeah, there is a lot. There is in India different ones that are doing cashbacks. Look, regarding cashbacks, and that is something that is very, it's a good topic, and it should be addressed also. It should be addressed from both sides of the story, because from one side, when you want a cashback, so a user is making a transaction and buying a shirt in $100, for example, or whatever, and you're giving him $1 on every $100 that he's spending. Now, who is giving that dollar? Is it the payment provider? Is it the merchant, the business? So usually today, like Solkan is saying, is mentioning, those cashbacks are usually provided by the payment providers. Payment providers that are doing the processing obviously want you to process more with them,
Of course.
wants you to press more on their cube of payment method within the checkout of the business. So they give you incentive as the end user, right, to do that. And of course, you can do that with different methods like QR and et cetera, et cetera. Then that's very popular. But to move it, to move this power to the merchant is also powerful. So the merchant could take this option or this position and tell his client or tell his user, listen, user, every time you will buy with me, I'll give you a little bit back. So your buying power is bigger next time, right? Or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And that's also something which is obviously depends on the revenue of the merchant and his ability to do that. But yes, I think that's definitely a feature that you can use in order to retain more clients.
Absolutely, that would be a nice.
Could be also a feature to Bridger. We need to think about it. How do we add cashbacks in Bridger? So the user will do a transaction in the checkout.
We would need to start processing transaction.
And whenever we finish the checkout, we send the payment provider the $100. The merchant is giving the user in his profile another $1 or $2 on the cashback. So we will send the merchant on the notification basically the command to give this client another $1 or $2 as a cashback. So this is something we can do in Bridger. Interesting. Solkan, thank you for the advice. We'll call it part-time cashback feature.
Good innovation idea.
Yeah, we like
Thanks a lot.
in Bridger.
Absolutely. Guys, should I remind you that we have the poll, right, with a couple of questions as well. So feel free to answer, right, according to you, what is the most important aspect to develop for your brand to stand out, right? Would it be your product, your service, your communication, your vision for the future, right? The innovation aspect, right? New features that you keep adding, to your product. And one key to help you innovate, right, and stay on top of this is obviously data, right? Data driven innovation is key, whether it's for new platform, products, or system. Everything usually is created out of data, right? It's increasingly important as part of the payment industry, as well. It's more and more collected, analyzed, and used in various points, throughout the payment flow. So how do we use data at Bridgerpay?
Wow. So basically, Bridger is a place with a lot of data.
Yeah.
Every transaction from every payment provider, from any country, from any user, from any payment method, is going through us. We are processing today transaction in over 180 countries, over 84 currencies. So we're talking about huge amounts of data, not something an Excel obviously can handle. When you try to put it all together, when you're dealing with masses of data, you start having the need of the use of technology.
Of course.
And many companies are going and working with different data analysis tools and platform and third-party platforms to analyze their data and manage their data and have some kind of transparency. What we found out is that working with the different third parties, especially in data, requires a lot of setup work, a lot of integration work, a lot of misbehaviors and discrepancies, a lot of time that you as an organization is basically spending on technology which is not yours.
Yeah,
it's like a black box. You send them your data, and they do whatever crunch data they do. You don't know how they're calculating anything, and in the end, you get this nice dashboard with all these results. So it didn't work for us, and we basically quite fast moved to a place where we own all the data from all the different sources in Bridger. No matter which payment provider, acquirer, merchant, method, client, user, website, landing pages, marketing materials, whatever we use, our CRM, basically everything is running into our BI, into our data warehouse, allows us to do all the calculations and the transformation of data that we need to have. And that has taken us to a different place where we are owning the data today. We own the data. We own the calculations. We are making the different dashboards and reports and predictions according to our with the data in our hands. So all the logic is in the company, and we see that it works much better for us. This was our best decision ever.
Yeah.
We have some questions. How we can track data? Google Analytics, Power BI should be good. Like once cookie policy is accepted on the browser, we start tracking data. Well, cookies is a very limited way. For example, you have Google Analytics that tracks you the data, or that tracks you the user within the website. But once, for example, it goes into payment pages, which doesn't belong to you and belongs to the one that provides you those payment pages and which has the PCI, etc., then you start lose the data, and you lose what happens inside. And obviously, we are talking about, if we want to talk about data, then there is the after purchase life, and when someone is upgrading the product or becoming, growing within the packages and as a SaaS client. So data becomes a place where there are many channels, and you want to have them all in one place. Anna is saying that data and the regulatory requirements pertaining to it, okay, PSD2, also often drives innovation in the payment industry. Well, yes, obviously, but that brings a lot of innovation in the way KYC is being handled, in the way payment providers are approving a business. When we are talking about an e-commerce shop, then the data is different. And yes, you can definitely track it with your own data warehouses.
Yeah.
And then use Power BI, for example, as a tool to have things more visible with dashboards and stuff. But the calculation would still come from you, and I think that will prove it on the long term, and definitely will give you the edge between you and all others that will struggle.
Exactly, because a lot of businesses now go online, right? They are getting obviously a lot of data that they were not having when they were having their physical shops, right? So it is quite critical for them to be on top of their data on their CRM, be able to track it, to analyze it, in order to then after that make basically strategical decision that will help them be on top of their innovation and stand out from their competition. And it's particularly also important with the payment world and the payment.
Maybe have also an event, on
industry.
PSD2
Yeah.
and data regulatory. We should bring our VC Soena to an event,
Yeah,
and speak about what's the constraints and what's the requirements that are being placed to different websites and services.
yeah, absolutely. And so when you are an e-commerce, right, you obviously set up your checkout, right? We actually had a webinar about this, your checkout experience, right? Your checkout can help you stand out from the others, right? How often have we gone onto a different website, whether it's to stream, for example, if you watch sports, like me, and you're being asked, to purchase, something, and the actual checkout looks kind of shady, right? That doesn't make your website trustworthy. It is quite important to gain the trust of your customers. Just so you know, statistic that I actually found online, Shape Security reported that in 2018. So I know it's few years back now, but still that kind of shocked me. But they were saying that 90% of the total login attempts to online retailers were actually hacking attempts. That is huge. That is huge. And that will actually be the topic of our next webinar next week on Thursday about cybersecurity. It really brings security to the core of the online business.
With what's going on today with the world, the way you architect your software and build your server infrastructures, the security protocols running between them, between the services. So it's not only how scalable is your cloud infrastructure and how you've built it, etc., etc. It's how you secured it. When you go through PCI, you go through hundreds and hundreds of security items that are compelling you to make sure everything is tightened and secured and encrypted, and in a way that will keep this level of security. And today, when we see different websites, obviously the PCI is a liability, and it's a big one. And that's a liability that usually they leave with the payment providers, but they do the mistake of leaving it to the payment provider.
Yeah.
And then what you get is redirect payment pages that 30% of your users will be immediately dropped.
Yeah.
The redirect will open you a page that looks, I don't know, like a white room.
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
suddenly,
Exactly.
with the yellow page or yellow colors, it's completely off your brand, and that's the payment provider with the logo no one knows, or a payment provider no one knows, right? Because it's your acquirers. It's not exactly a worldwide name, and then what you're left with is a user which is a bit disappointed,
Yeah.
and a bit afraid, and not exactly feeling on the top of the confidence level.
Exactly.
So security is not just the PCI, and it's not just the way that you secure the services. It's also how you secure the website.
Yeah.
And like you said, in terms of login attempts, the amount of requests a website is getting today, which are filtered as spam, is huge.
Yeah.
And every
Yeah.
website must prepare an infrastructure that will allow him to protect himself well. We work today with Cloudflare and use their enterprise services to protect the entire environment of Bridger, and we have a very good partnership with them for years now, and it helped us a lot in terms of mitigating different attacks, which always happens. It's on a daily basis.
Yeah. So that's why it's very important, to trust, to choose, the right PSP, right? Choose the right payment gateway, and try to choose local when you can, right? I mean, we can offer that, at Bridgerpay, but it's very, very important to gain the trust of your customers if you want to stand out from the competition. Because if I go on your website, I may like, the product, but if ultimately I feel for even 1 second that it is something shady because of the checkout experience, I will not come back on the website, and I will probably choose, one of your competitor to make that purchase. So
of local payment providers and methods and ways of payments are becoming and is one of the main aspects of creating a good checkout experience. If we spoke about tracking data before, working with a payment operation system will allow you to continue and track the data within your checkout, because your checkout won't belong to any payment provider or method. It will belong to you, served by your payment operation platform, but it still belongs to you, and something that you can continue and track there, what is happening. And the ability to offer local payment providers, and there are so many, both buy now, pay laters and alternatives, and obviously the local acquirers, then that gives you the edge. That gives you the full confidence in the product. And if everything and all of them is looking like you and served from your website, without any redirect, without any pop-ups, without any different look and feel, then yes, that's how you stand up from the rest, or that's how you are getting to the best practice of a checkout.
Good. Thank you, Ran. I think we are coming now to the end of the webinar already. And do we have any questions? So the innovative checkout experience I saw was with one company. Was probably with Bridger, no? Bridgerpay. Must have been. So Elkan. Must have been. Okay, we don't have any other questions.
Yeah, guys, if there is any other questions from your side, we'll be happy to answer. So don't be shy.
So like they don't redirect to different page. You just need to remember your last purchase and click on it, and it's validated. Yeah. That's the
You just need to
tokenization.
remember your last purchase and click on it, and it's validated.
I presume he's talking about the tokenization. Tokenization.
Yeah, I think so.
Of,
So the tokenization that allows you to complete a first transaction, save your card for future transactions. And on a future transaction, when you log into that website, the website shouldn't show you now a checkout.
Yeah.
It should show you buy with a click, buy with, the card that ends with your 4 digits. So that's a way to do it. Obviously, today you also have Apple Pay and Google Pay, which are super fast. You buy it, everything is connected. When we add Apple Pay into the checkouts of users or websites, the users are able to continue the purchase if it's from the computer, from the phone. So it's very easy, very, sleek what both Apple and Google are doing. And both are becoming very, very much popular today.
Absolutely. All right. Well, if there is no other questions, I think this will mark the end of the webinar. So thank you all for joining. Don't forget that next week we have our eighth webinar about cybersecurity, if I'm not mistaken. So stay tuned and talk to you soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Solkan. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Anna, for participating. Guys, if there is any more questions, we'll be happy to answer. Thank you, Nu. Thank you, Georgia and Rebecca and Mira and Yael and Ronen and Olia and Christina. Okay. Good night and have a good evening.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.